EUROCUP-3 2024 about to get underway for the next encounter of the championship here at Portimao in Portugal. We've had Spa, we've had the Red Bull Ring. Now we're getting into the action and festivities here at Portimao for the first of 3 races this weekend, as one of those races is actually coming in to replace the cancelled, postponed race that we had due to adverse weather conditions at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS at the beginning of the season. So now we have 3 races this weekend at Portimao rather than the scheduled 2. And EUROCUP-3 2024 about to continue its journey on the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. I'm Jake Sanson. Great to be with you once again as the drivers set off on their formation lap. 30 minutes plus 1 lap going on the timing screens. And this is the beginning for Christian Ho of Singapore to see if he can finally get the job done, having had some near misses already over the course of this season. But Christian Ho, he crashed out in the first race of the championship at Spa-Francorchamps and then had a retirement at the Red Bull Ring, followed by a 4th place finish. Pole position this time out here at Portimao. He has a great chance to unlock that first victory, something that Bruno Del Pino knows all too well about. He got his maiden victory overall in the last round of the championship at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Owen Tangavelu made history for Vietnam in the first race of that weekend when he bagged his first victory of the season. And then in 4th place on the grid, what an opportunity for the German talent, Valentin Klus and the Campos Racing team, right up in the dizzy heights of P4. Very deserving indeed for the German. Let's see what he is going to give us in fantastic fashion here. Alex Abkasava, the Kazakhstani Salok, going 5th position on the grid for this one. Joao Diaz of the DXR Racing team, right up there on the 3rd row of the starting grid as well. Emo Fittipaldi Jr., going to be lining up 7th on the grid for MP Motorsport. Jose Garfias and Santalok Racing in 8th position on the grid, the Mexican. Nikola Solov, the Bulgarian, part of the Alpine Academy, still there and still in great progress in EUROCUP-3. 9th on the starting grid for him, alongside the fantastic Javier Segrera, who actually leads this championship coming into the weekend, but does so by a mere 5 points to both Bruno Del Pino and Owen Tangavelu. 5 points covering the top 3 drivers on the championship standings then. 11th on the grid for Michael Shin, the Korean, who lines up alongside his Campos Racing teammate Noah Lyle from Australia. Dario Cabanelas lining up alongside the Moroccan Suleiman Zanfari, who's just hoping that he actually starts these races, having had no running at all during the Red Bull Ring. He had an engine failure that took him out of both race 1 and 2. Isaac Barashi lining up alongside Georgi Żurawski on the 8th row of the starting grid. Then Garrett Berry alongside Daniel Nogales, Luciano Morano and Theodor Jensen. And then we have Nick Gilks, Diego de la Torre, Gaspar Lagaye, Victor Blokina, Emile de Reus and Finley Green completing the starting field. So as everybody then is ready for another exciting broadcast battle, this fantastic first race of the weekend for Portimao, and there are going to be 3 of them in total. We are in for a spectacular charge forward as all of the drivers are ready in fantastic fashion. So Dora Tonaneva asking a very exciting question going into this race. Is Spa the only track from the original FIA Formula 3 calendar on this year's lineup? It certainly is in 2024 because the final round of the championship taking place at Catalonia is not part of the F3 calendar this year. And I'm fairly sure Zandvoort isn't either. So that would tally forward unless someone is prepared to correct me on that one. So it's definitely going to be an interesting challenge for all of the contenders ahead of a sensational battle. There is Diego de la Torre, the Mexican, just getting himself into his final starting position as the last couple of cars get into place. Christian Ho versus Bruno Del Pino, Campos versus MP, and it's a similar story on the 2nd row of the grid as Owen Tangavelu has Valentin Klus alongside, then Abkasava for Santalok, Diaz for DXR, Emo Fittipaldi for MP Motorsport, Garfias for Santalok, then the GRS Silver and Green Bullet of Nikola Solov, and Javier Segrera from P10. The lights come on, and we're ready to go racing here in EUROCUP-3. Let's race at Portimao! A good start from the front of the grid from Bruno Del Pino. He's going to charge his way to try and get alongside Christian Ho, but Ho has the advantage, and the 2 MPs are going to go side by side into the first corner. They just about keep away from each other, and they've given each other space to go through. Christian Ho has the advantage, and it's looking great for the Singaporean. He's finally in a good position to move his way forward. So now they go up the crest. couple of drivers just trying to stay out of harm's way. But as they come up the top of the crest on the back straight, it is Christian Ho that leads the way here from Tangavelu, who's got himself just a whisker in front of Del Pino. Del Pino trying to finish the job, but Tangavelu has got himself ahead of his Spanish teammate as the rest of the field filter their way through on this first lap, trying to give each other enough space whilst also taking advantage of the potential to move forward. Abkasava in P4, a good start from the Santalok driver. He's actually leapfrogged past a very slow starting Valentin Klus, the Campos driver, struggling to get the power down. And it's looking very strong indeed for Abkasava in the Santalok. He wants to get the top three and put three different teams in the top three positions. That would be a complete reversal of the fortunes at the Red Bull Ring when we had three MP drivers on the podium all the way throughout. There's a car languishing at the back of the field, struggling to get up to speed. That looks to be one of the GRS cars. I think that's Amelie de Geus. We've had problems for both Emo Fittipaldi and Finley Green. It looks like neither car has been able to get up to the starting grid for this one. So both Emo Fittipaldi and Finley Green in trouble. But the rest of the remaining 24 cars are doing the best they can. Amelie de Geus looks like she's got a mechanical problem of some kind. There's no way that that car would be that slow coming off the turns. And it's going to be side by side between Abkasava and Diaz. There's nothing between them as they come across the line. Fourth and fifth, dueling away the position. Side by side, Diaz is determined to get through on Abkasava. Can he get the move finished off? Abkasava's going to go right round the outside and somehow they miss each other. Goodness me, Joao Diaz determined that he's not going to hit Abkasava. But they really pushed each other's limits there. There's the GRS team, hoping for the progress of Nikolai Solov to be a positive one. Doesn't look like it is. Nikolai Solov appears to have fallen down the field. So Solov has dropped to about 13th position. He's had a very difficult start, and it's not gone according to plan for him. So the contenders still having a relatively good run of it. Yellow flags were out, but they have now been withdrawn again. So somebody having a bit of a moment out there on the course, but managing to recover it all. But certainly, as things currently stand, Christian Ho of Singapore leads the way. Del Pino, then Tangavelu, Abkasava, Diaz, Segreira. What a start from Javier Segreira from 10th on the grid, now in P6. The championship leader fighting fit to try and work his way through. Now, let's watch the replay of the start. I want to see if we can pick out Segreira, who's down on the 5th row of the grid. He made a rocket ship of a start. Terrible start for Valentin Klus. He just gets swamped by 1, 2, potentially 3 cars by the time they come out of turn 2. And there's Segreira, look, charging his way up the middle of the MPs. Charging his way up the middle of the Camposes, in there with Klus and Lyle. And Segreira having a good run. That's Diaz desperately trying not to get hit by Alexander Abkasava at the beginning of the second lap. And there is a retirement. That is Amelie de Geus. So very unfortunate indeed for the GRS USA driver. Mechanical problems right from the start. Safety car. So there's another incident out on the course, and it's Jose Garfias. Jose Garfias in trouble. There is the confirmation. That's another car in trouble. So that is the number 10. That is Luciano Morano for the Palau team. Sparks flying underneath the car. But Jose Garfias really in dire straits here, because it doesn't look as though Garfias has come around again. And the car appears to be beached at Sector 2. So not entirely sure what happened there, but certainly Luciano Morano trying to bring the car back into the pits without having to be recovered by the marshals. All the other drivers will be very grateful for that, because that means they won't have to get the crane out there. But certainly it looks to me as though Nikolai Solov, having dropped a long way down the field to 12th place after a difficult start, and now we've got a retirement in the place of Jose Garfias from the Santalok Racing Team. We're under safety car, not entirely sure what the safety car is out for as yet. That'll be it then. So Santalok's Jose Garfias stranded at the side of the road, and he looks pretty dejected, doesn't he? Very unhappy as he trudges away through the gravel trap, looking like a Thunderbird's puppet with the strings cut. Very disappointed indeed, I'm sure. Jose Garfias limping back to the pits, and he'll be watching the rest of this race. Very unfortunate indeed for him. Watching it, no longer participating in it. 25 minutes left plus the additional lap. And of course in EUROCUP-3 all of the races are 30 minutes plus the additional lap in duration, which means that they score the full point score of 25 for the win, 18 for second, 3 for third, and then 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. All the way down to 10th position for the 1 point. 2 points for the pole position. So Christian Ho scoring 2 valuable points when needed, and a fastest lap going the way of the a point going the way of the fastest lap competitor, as there is Luciano Morano and the Palou Motorsport team recovering his car back to the garage. The Frenchman Luciano Morano just related to the team what happened. I think the racing drivers argument once again is going to come in. I did nothing wrong, it was the other guy. The other guy is going to say, I did nothing wrong, it was the other bloke. But it doesn't change anything. Luciano Morano out of the race. Now, while we're under safety car, great questions come in from Tim Gadrat. Is EuroCup-3 cheaper than Formula Regional in Europe? And is the title here as prestigious as the FRECA title? This is a really good question there, Tim. Thank you for it. Basically, the EuroCup-3 championship was brought in last year to kind of be a bit of a segue between F4 and Formula Regional, depending on which championship you want to go into. And there is a real affordability that comes with the EuroCup-3 car. It's a very different entity compared to the Formula Regional European Championship car, for example, but it certainly does give competitors a real stopgap opportunity in between, as the marshals are just going to work to clean up Jose Garfias' car. This is going to take about a lap or so, I would think. So it's not going to be the easiest of cleanup jobs there, because it's right on the top of the crest on the far side of the circuit as well. So it's not going to be particularly easy for all of the competitors in this one. But the teams actually use the Tartus F3 T318 chassis, which is also used in the Formula Regional European Championship. So it's the same chassis, but the car has a very different and updated body kit. There's a different battery, there's a different intercooler. It's 25 kilos lighter than the Formula Regional European car. So it is a very different beast. It also uses the Autotecnica engineered Alfa Romeo engine, 270 brake horsepower. So again, by the counteract of the Formula Regional European Championship, it's just slightly reduced in power. It is reduced in costs as well. The whole point of it was to make single-seater racing at this level a little bit more affordable for people. And that's exactly what it certainly has ended up working out for a lot of drivers who have seen a lot of great opportunities come their way from getting involved in EuroCup-3. There is the Santalok racing car of Jose Garfias being recovered and rescued. Sadly, the Mexican not going to be competing in the rest of this race, and it certainly gives him an awful lot to ponder. Not really something he was hoping to have to think about going into these battles, but sadly, that is the way it has ended up working out for him. So Jose Garfias out of the race, and we are going to be under safety car as soon as that car has been cleared away from its present position. So we've got 3 cars in the pits, Finley Green and Emo Fittipaldi, that were not able to start the race. And then we've also got Luciano Morano, who got involved in that incident. We think it's the same incident between Luciano Morano and Jose Garfias, but we don't have confirmation about that. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one for the drivers as we get ourselves prepared for what we hope is going to be a pretty quick restart. It's going to be a very exciting technical challenge for the drivers on the restart, because you never quite know just how much grip is going to be afforded to you in these overcast conditions. The weather's not been glorious here in Portugal, but so far, while it's been overcast like a British summertime, it's absolutely devoid of rain for the moment, and we certainly hope it stays that way. So we're just now essentially waiting for the last couple of boxes to be ticked from the marshals, and it looks as though we're going racing again. So there we go, the safety car lights go out. Safety car in this lap. It now goes down to Christian Ho essentially as to when we restart. He can drop the hammer at any time, but he's got to back up the pack, control the pace a little bit, and get himself ready for a strong restart. Will he go in exactly the same place that Keanu Alazzari did? The answer is no, because Alazzari had already bolted in Spanish F4 by this point. So Christian Ho just waiting for his moment, waiting, biding his time. Bruno Del Pino's trying to catch him at his best opportunity there, but this is definitely a different tactic for Christian Ho, the Singaporean. NXMZ wants to know, is Palou Motorsport Alex Palou's race team? Certainly is. He actually made a guest appearance during last year in one of the pre-race test sessions to planning of this car in a little bit more detail. So yes, it is the two-time IndyCar champion Alex Palou's race team. When is Christian Ho going to drop this hammer? He's leaving it very late indeed. They've actually gone on to the main straight. Now he's dropped the hammer. There we go. He's left it incredibly late, and we could see quite a few sparks fly as they come to the line and over the top of the crest. 19 minutes plus the one lap. Ring, 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 green. We're back to race action at Portimao here in EUROCUP-3, and it's Ho, Del Pino, Tangavelu, Abgasava. Abgasava trying to come round the outside of the Santalok. Can he get into third position? He can! Great restart from Abgasava as the drivers hustle their way through the first couple of corners. Looks like one of the Campos is going a bit wide there. Couldn't tell whether that was Valentin Klus or Noah Lyle. So as they assert themselves through, they're all trying to mix and match and get themselves into a strong position, hopefully without some contact. But it looked to me as though one of the Palou cars was slowing. I wonder if that's Garrett Berry having a bit of an issue on the restart. Was there a little bit of contact? I'll have to double check and see. It's either going to be Garrett Berry or Theodor Jensen, one of the two of them. A couple of drivers drifting off the road, trying to get back without losing too much position. This is such a tough challenge for everybody. Christian Ho leading the way, Bruno Del Pino second place, and Alex Abgasava third position. That's a bit more like it. 3 different teams in the top 3 positions. Not a lot that the Vietnamese driver Owen Tangavelu can currently do. In 4th position ahead of Javier Segreira, who's worked his way up to 5th position now. So a great recovery from Segreira. The MP drivers 4th and 5th, trying to get away from Joao Diaz for DXR. And Suleiman Zanfari, who at least is actually getting some laps under his belt now, in 7th place for Campos, ahead of his 2 teammates, Noah Lyle and Valentin Klus. And then in 10th place, the final point at the present moment is Dario Cabanelas, but we've still got 17 3/4 minutes plus the additional lap to go. Here comes the comeback charge as Abgasava tries desperately to shake off Tangavelu. Watch out for Segreira trying to get a bit of a slipstream effect at the end of the straight. He's not close enough really to do anything about it now. But the man we're watching is Tangavelu. He wants to go free. He is in the slipstream. He is going to get a good run and manages to get through on Abgasava before they even get to the braking point. Abgasava's trying to resist it. Back to the inside line. Can he take back the place? Meanwhile, the Campos boys are tuning away. This is Suleiman Zanfari leaning on it with Noah Lyle. And they give each other room. Lyle has got through on his teammate. Bit of a snake under brakes, and oh, that is a problem for one of the Palous. That, I'm afraid to say, is the sister car that's gone for a spin there. That's Theo Jensen, I do believe. So Theo Jensen has had a moment and spun it, and that's going to be his race well and truly run. So that's 2 Palous down and 1 remaining with Garrett Berry in the mix. So it has not been a particularly pleasant day at the races for the 2-time IndyCar champion and team principal Alex Palou. His boys are really struggling. So now we've got Christian Ho leading the way. Yellow flags are out. That's got to be for the spin of Theo Jensen. But it looks as though he's actually spun it in a pretty safe position. This is the restart. So Christian Ho managing to get well clear of Bruno Del Pino. But it was Alex Abgasava that made the best of it. Look, he really timed his restart to perfection. And around the outside of Tangavelu, job done. Thank you very much, sir. But going up in the air, that was one of the Camposes going airborne. I want to say that might have been Valentin Klus, who then ended up drifting wide and losing ground to both his teammates, Lyle and Zanfari, who are now scrapping away for P6 at this point. Out through the final turn, as we ride with Owen Tangavelu, who's got through into 3rd place. I didn't see that, apologies. So Abgasava now down to P4 again. Segreira is 5th, then Lyle, Zanfari, Klus, Cabanelas, and Daniel Nogales back into the top 10 ahead of Shin and Solov. Now, further back, down towards the first corner, that looks like Nicholas Solov is about to make his bid on the inside there of Michael Shin. Oh, he's got around the outside of him. So nicely handled there by Nicholas Solov. That puts him into 11th place in the silver and green Bullet, the GRS Team USA car. But out in front, Christian Ho does not have an easy victory on his hands here. Bruno Del Pino is going with him, and he's going to put him under some serious pressure. Fastest lap of the race comes from Christian Ho, a 1:39.993. Meanwhile, Tangavelu, Abgasava and Segreira are still upholding the honours for the battle for the podium. Looks like it's Tangavelu that's got it at the moment, but that doesn't mean to say the others don't have a shot. Noah Lyle and Suleiman Zanfari, the 2 teammates at Campos Racing, followed in pursuit by Valentin Klus. And then we have Dario Cabanelas for the MP Motorsport team, ahead of Daniel Nogales for Drivex. And then Nicholas Solov, who is just 1 place away from scoring a championship point. Something he's not actually done yet. So a big dive up the inside. And a bit of a run wide. It was the 2 Campos cars that just came too dangerously close to each other for comfort. That would have been Lyle and Klus, and that's how Zanfari managed to overtake them and then get half split by them, if you like. So through they come at the hairpin. Wonderful noise, these Alfa Romeos. Developed and engineered by Auto Technica. These engines doing a cracking job. And while it's a more affordable car, perhaps say, than the Formula Regional counterpart, it is chosen to continue to help and benefit drivers in the F4 model to just continue their work up the ladder. And EUROCUP-3 is a nice little stopgap and advantage in between. And having the cost control really does make things more efficient as a racing championship. There's a lot of positivity coming out of EUROCUP-3 last year, and that's just going to continue with the way that the racing has played out so far. Now, what are we seeing a replay of? This is the battle between the two Campos cars. Was there contact? Oh, that is as close as you can get without actually having any. So Lyle, right in the mix there, dueling with his teammate, Valentin Klus, who has actually worked his way back into 7th position, having originally been on the 2nd row of the grid. So he's only lost 3 places. It's not bad going for Valentin Klus, considering how far away from the pace he was in the previous encounter. It's great to see him up at the sharp end, learning the hard way. So Christian Ho, Bruno Del Pino, Tangavelu, Abgasava, Segrera, Lyle, Klus, Zanfari and Cabanelas. Now here's another replay. This is those 2 cars again. Now what are we going to see there? Oh, just a little bit of a run wide on that curb. You've got to be careful how much curb you take, because that can really unsettle you as a driver. And the rear of the car starts to swirl around. The front end of the car doesn't get quite so pointy on the landing if you go over those curbs. Got to be careful. Christian Ho leads the race then. Bruno Del Pino in 2nd for Moen Tangavelu, Alex Abgasava, and then Javier Segrera, Noah Lyle, Valentin Klus, Suleiman Zanfari, Dario Cabanelas, and Daniel Nogales. Nicolas Solov, P11 in front of Michael Shin, then Diego de la Torre and Nick Gilks. Georgi Zdravsky, Victoria Blokida, and then Gaspar Lagaye, Isaac Badashi, Garrett Berry, and Joao Diaz. Now, interestingly, Emo Fittipaldi did actually take up the start of the race, but he did so a lap down. So at least he's getting some good, reliable running in for tomorrow. And ironically enough, he's actually set the fastest lap of the race at 1:39.684 for Emo Fittipaldi Jr. So it looks pretty good for him to steal away a championship point for getting the fastest lap in the race. So the competitors still dueling their way down to the first corner. This is going to be a late bid, as once again, the very feisty and very determined nature of Nicolas Solov belied to the cool, calm, disciplined approach of Daniel Nogales, the Trivex car in front of him. We'll be fascinated to see how long it's going to take for Nicolas Solov to deal with that Trivex as well. So up over the top of the crest, another 11.5 minutes plus the additional lap for Christian Ho to just hang on to this victory in front of Bruno Del Pino. It is not going to be easy, that is for sure. He's not going to make it any more easygoing. Oh, that is enough for Daniel Nogales to overcook it. And Nicolas Solov says, thank you very much. That's exactly what I wanted. You made the mistake. That's what I was aiming for. He drifted wide on the curbs. And Nicolas Solov able to get through into the points, hoping to score his first points of EUROCUP-3 in 2024. So there goes Nogales, very much at the mercy of the GRS Team USA driver, having completed the lap in 10th position. Del Pino, Tangavelu, Abgasava, Segrera, Lyle, Klus, Zanfari, Cabanelas and Solov. Ahead of Nogales, De La Torre, Nick Gilks, Georgi Zdravsky, Gaspar Lagaye, Victoria Blakina, Isaac Barashi, Garrett Berry, Joao Diaz and Michael Shin. With Emo Fittipaldi Jr. a lap down. There's the mistake, and that's how dirty it is on that curbing. You can obviously use it to get a faster trajectory, but you can also misuse it and hit the wrong part of the curb. That can get pretty spicy, let me tell you. Into the pits. Well, that's not in the schedule. And that is Michael Shin for the Campos Racing team. So very unfortunate indeed for him as he trundles down pit lane. It's definitely not gone according to plan for the Korean driver. Meanwhile, back at the front of the race, and this is where Christian Ho really starts to take authority. Having chipped away at these fast times, he is getting faster and faster with every lap. He's got to be careful that he doesn't hit burnout in the next 3 minutes or so. Otherwise, the car very difficult to control with no time to change for a different one. So Christian Ho leads the way, 1.4 seconds clear of Bruno Del Pino. Then Owen Tangavelu in front of Alex Abkasaba in 4th place. Then Javier Segrera, Noah Lyle, Valentin Klus, Suleiman Zanfari and Dario Cabanelas. Great racing all the way through. It looks like the two Drivex cars having a decent tussle there. I think that's Nick Jilks versus Georgi Żurawski. Having a very solid race battle. Speaking of very solid race battles, you're getting several of them on the same track. There is Bruno Del Pino, Owen Tangavelu, I should say, through in 3rd position. And now we've got an extraordinary battle coming towards us of drivers. Oh no, sorry, this is a little bit further back actually. We were looking at Cabanelas originally, and then Solov Nogales, Del Torre, Jilks and Żurawski should essentially, I think they do actually meet up in between the race battles. And they're going to do so several times before the checkered flag flies. 8 minutes and a half. So let's see how this is going to continue on. Christian Ho, Bruno Del Pino, Owen Tangavelu, Alex Abkasaba, Segrera and Klus. Down to the hairpin. Through they go again. And a really exciting run up the crest one more time. But Christian Ho, the Singaporean, certainly looking pretty hungry. He's come close a few times to a good result that's not turned into anything. Here is that tussle between Campos teammates and a bit of a lock up there. Behind them, that is the frustrated Dario Cabanelas looking for a way to come through, and he's actually going to split the Campos drivers as they come up over the top and drop down the crest once more. Cabanelas now splits the difference. Surely he can't get both cars in one sector. He's certainly finding it tough, and he manages to keep the door firmly closed there on Suleiman Zanfari. And here comes the move from Solov, trying to go the long way round the far side in the hope that he can pick up a bit of a switchback manoeuvre. It's genuinely going to look pretty tricky for Solov to make much more progress than he's currently making, but he's certainly motivated to try and do it, isn't he? Really good stuff from Nikolai Solov, now finding himself in P10 behind Lyle. They come off the turn. I believe that these two are actually chasing down Zanfari and Cabanelas, hoping that they can force them into a mistake, and then suddenly they're battling for 7th, not battling for 9th. More lockups, more opportunities coming through. It was a good replay of that incident that got very messy indeed for a couple of drivers there. I think they got away with that one, to be honest. But certainly in the dying stages of this race, Christian Ho is looking forward to keeping this under wraps. The Singapore would love to be able to come here and showcase his intentional speed and prowess. Certainly looking pretty hot topic at the moment. Yellow flags out around the course, so somebody's pushed it a little bit too far over the limit, and it's hard to say who's done that, but we've got yellow flags around the course regardless. So this could obviously turn into a safety car period. It looks to me like it's Suleiman Zanfari. It's safety car. So Suleiman Zanfari has had a problem then, and it's a safety car for the field with 6 minutes and 15 on the clock. That's pretty touch and go as to whether we're going to finish behind safety car or whether we're going to finish under green flag conditions. And of course it also takes into account the fact that they've got to clean the car from its current state. We don't know where it is on the course. There is the safety car that's going to collect the competitors up at the front. But what happened to poor Suleiman Zanfari to trigger the incident? Let's see if we can have a look at it. So we watch the drivers coming through. And does something snap, or does Nikolai Solov just snap? I didn't see the replay there in terms of fitting with the context of what we're already doing. So Christian Ho leads the race under safety car. 5.5 minutes to go plus the additional lap. Del Pino in 2nd, Tangavelu in 3rd. And then it is Abkasaba, Segrera, Klus and Cabanelas. Now let's have a look and see. Big dive up the inside. This is earlier on in the race. Are we going to see the contact here as we go up the top of the hill? I think that's where we saw a little bit of the tangle between Luciano Morano and one of the Drivex cars. I couldn't quite make out which one it was. As into the pits, trundling down pit lane to retire the car is Emo Fittipaldi Jr. He was already a lap down, which certainly didn't help his cause, and now it's a really bitter pill to swallow as well, because Emo Fittipaldi Jr. still very motivated, still wanting to showcase his ultimate speed, but not really able to continue in this particular event. Well, bitter disappointment, I'm afraid, for him, and certainly not what he was hoping for. You can join us on Instagram live after the race on our EUROCUP-3 channel. We're going to be down in pit lane. Enzo Oliveira will be your guide and talk you through all of the latest paddock chatter. Do stick around for that, and you're more than welcome to get your questions in and get your comments in. I'm sure we'll talk about them and discuss them at length. You can do that all the way through tonight, and we'll pick them up ready for the 2 EUROCUP-3 races that we have tomorrow. I don't get to say that very often because we're actually going to have 3 races this weekend rather than the scheduled 2, and that is because the second race at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS early this year was rained off, and so essentially they've crowbarred another race into the calendar to make sure that while we can still run a 3rd race meeting in 2024, but we're still going to have, you know, the opportunity to build and grow upon that. So Suleiman Zanfari has managed to bring the car to a stop, the Campos racing car. I can't actually see why we're on a safety car. That hasn't really been made apparent yet. So we should have a stationary car somewhere around the course, probably with a very frustrated Moroccan having clambered out of it. But it just so happens to be, by the look of it, that it's one of those locations that's a blind spot for our camera crew. Always infuriating. We don't have quite the same sort of equipment and resources as the Formula Ones and Indy cars and the Moto Hours are concerned. We don't have cameras inserted in drivers' nasal passage in order to get right up close to the action. So sometimes the incidents do happen out of sight of the cameras, and that can be very frustrating. Right, this is the replay of the restart. This is Christian Ho blasting away from Brino Del Pino, and we're going to get to see Alex Abkasava again make this legendary dive around the outside. Ready, ready, ready. He's Eminem for a moment, because he just went round the outside, round the outside. Beautifully done there for our man in what is now 4th position. Abkasava has not been able to hold on to the podium just for the moment, because Owen Tangavelu always seems to be a thorn in his side at the worst possible moment. So under safety car conditions, we are on lap 15. It'll be fascinating to see if Christian Ho can hang on to this in front of Del Pino and Tangavelu, or is this restart going to be one restart too many? You can see a lot of drivers pushing a little bit harder to try and get something out of this race. Safety car is still out, so there's no pressure and no hurry to get this race started again. I think all of the drivers just wanted to back off a couple of car lengths so that they could get the engine revved up and hopefully keep the temperatures favourable, because you're a bit of a micromanager when you're behind the safety car. You're looking after the engine temperature, you're looking after the tyre degradation, you're looking after everything that you possibly could in the cart, essentially. Back in the day, you used to put your foot down and go. Now it's really quite tricky. So, pole position for Christian Ho, 2nd for Brino Del Pino, 3rd for Owen Tangavelu, and then Abkasava, Segrera, Klus, Camanelas, Lyle, Todorov, and Daniel Nogales currently has the final point in P10. So we're just waiting for the time to tick down now. Initially, we're into the last minute, so this lap is going to start behind the safety car. But do we have enough time to run this race without a safety car finished? Is there going to be one lap available to them? This is the problem. Halfway around the drive of the circuit where they monitor how things are going, they're looking at it going, it's not clear yet. It could be clear by the end of this lap, but there's no point taking chances. You've got to think about this from a very analytical viewpoint. These circuits have great staff. They want to obviously keep their jobs and keep their position. If people are starting to bend the rules willy-nilly to suit a particular driver or two, then that's when you get into a really corrupt place, and that's when you really want to pull people out of it. So Christian Ho leads with 3, 2, 1, time up. So this is the penultimate lap, whatever happens. But is it going to finish under safety car? And if it does, then obviously Christian Ho is looking for his first victory in EUROCUP-3 of the 2024 season. So lots of reasons to get excited there. particularly if you're Christian Ho, and particularly if you're Campos Racing, actually, because they'll be very satisfied, I'm sure, to break the winning streak of their bitter and implacable rivals in the EUROCUP-3 Championship, and that, of course, is the MP Motorsport team. They have won every single race this year that has had EUROCUP-3 written all over it. We've had, obviously, the British contingent of EUROCUP-3 out there on the board and doing a fantastic job of it. Christian Ho, the Singaporean, looking for a strong and resolute fight forward. But interestingly, right from the start of the year, MP Motorsport has won every single race that has been held so far. And when you consider that that includes the weekend at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS, the 2 races at the Red Bull Ring, and even going back to Motorland Aragon, which hosted a Winter Cup, 1 weekend event only of EUROCUP-3 drivers. Now, are we going to be restarting? I don't think we are, I'm afraid to say, folks, because by this point, the traffic lights on the top of the safety car should have gone off, and I'm afraid they have not. So for the second race today in adjacent classes, it is a safety car that has brought the field to a standstill. And I have to say, I have to rather frustratedly inform you all that I'm not entirely sure what the situation was to bring out the safety car. I don't think we actually saw a stationary car out there on the course. It obviously belongs to one of the competitors towards the sharp end. We've had Suleiman Zanfari drop out of the race and retire. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. has done likewise. So has Michael Shin, Theo Jensen, Luciano Morano, Jose Garfias, Emilio de Heus, and then we had one non-starter. That was Finley Green of the Santaloc Racing team. Well, it's a bit of a lackluster end to the race for some. It's a missed opportunity for others, but you know what? The man who's going to take all the plaudits for this is going to be Singapore's Christian Ho, a fabulous competitor. And it really is fantastic and fascinating stuff to see just how well Christian Ho has continued his developmental warpath as a racing driver, climbed up the ranks of his national karting scene, moved across to the regional series for the international series for the Ami Ami karting fraternity, worked his way forward, did a fantastic job with that, got into cars and was vice champion in Spanish F4, so he knows how to do well in this particular paddock of people. But it is wonderful to see Christian Ho, the fantastic Singaporean Korean racing driver, who will turn 18 later this year. But what a fantastic race it has been for him, just keeping control of the pace and doing a fair job. This is the man that was second in the 2019 FIA Karting Academy Trophy to the Lithuanian Kaja Sixnelis, and that very competitive and very exciting season. But he's only essentially had 1 full year of racing under his belt, and that was in the Spanish F4 Championship last year. He was the vice champion, 5 wins, 7 poles, and 291 points. It's been a fair time coming for Christian Ho to take his first win in EUROCUP-3. It may not be the way he wanted to do it behind the safety car, but he still gets to take the credit for it. And the Singaporean Christian Ho takes his first win in EUROCUP-3. Epic work, great result, as the race finishes behind the safety car once again. But Christian Ho is victorious ahead of Bruno Del Pino and Owen Tangavelu. Now, as far as the championship is concerned, both Tangavelu and Bruno Del Pino are going to gain at least 5 points on Javier Segrera. So that means that the new championship leader is going to be Bruno Del Pino by just 3 championship points. He's going to take the lead rather than be one of the drivers catching up. So a truly sensational race battle then for the Singaporean Christian Ho. After all the bad luck, after all the misery of Spa, after the abject frustrations that took away some decent points off the table at the Red Bull Ring last time out, here he is at Portimao and finally proving, look, I can get away from all this messy stuff. I can commit to something really strong. I can do it. I'm going to, and I'm a race winner. Watch how I finish the job. But you'll get all the reactions from the paddock here in Portimao if you stick around and join us on Instagram Live after the race at EUROCUP_3. If you are not already liking and subscribing on your Instagram social feed, you certainly can there. And it's going to be fascinating to see what the drivers have to say about such a busy day of the office. They're going to be on Instagram Live in about 35 minutes time. Definitely worth a bit of a chin wag and a look in on that particular Instagram Live, because there's going to be some very interesting conversations. There's going to be some really interesting behind the scenes stuff. Enzo Oliveira is already running up and down the pit lane, grabbing as many nuggets of information as his little pouch can carry. So it's going to be really exciting to see how Enzo Oliveira catches up with all the stories, all of the goss. I have to remind myself that I need to tell him the word is actually gossip, but it's only gossip if you're trying desperately to be street cred, which I always fail at anyway. Christian Ho taking the victory for Singapore, for Campos Racing, and for so many of these incredible racing fraternities that he has worked his way through. Started up in life in his native Singapore, did a fantastic job as he worked his way forward, then joined the IAME Series Asia category and continued to make steady progress, was picked up when he went to Europe by the Sauber Academy. And Christian Ho shows everybody why he was chosen. Calm, smooth, and ever-present fighting force. The win in 2024 in a EUROCUP-3 car was absolutely inevitable to Christian Ho, but at least he's got the job done. It only took him 3 events, and it took him the first race of 3. But Christian Ho is a race winner in EUROCUP-3, and very deservedly so indeed for him. He's worked tooth and nail, a tireless dedication and commitment to his craft to showcase what he can do. The team come over to congratulate him. They're very busy. They've got all sorts of cars in all sorts of different arrays. It hasn't quite been a Campos Racing clean sweep in the same way that it has been in the past for MP Motorsport. But there is your man in the victor's position. A great run from Christian Ho. He goes and congratulates Bruno Del Pino of the MP Motorsport team, who finishes up in 2nd place, along with the Vietnamese driver Owen Tangavelu, who comes home in 3rd position. Javier Segredo, former championship leader, 5th position in that one. That means he'll score a grand total of 10 points. The driver's catching him in the crown. Owen Tangavelu is on 15 points, and Bruno Del Pino is on 18. But the man with the big 25 is the Singaporean Christian Ho. Enzo Oliveira is with him.
Yeah, yes, he's the man, the Singaporean man. Congratulations, all the next time. So this season for you, it's going very, very well. So congratulations.
I wouldn't say it's going the best. I think we had like 2 out of 3 DNFs before this race. But yeah, finally converted a pole into a win today. We had really good race pace, had a good start, and then everything else was not too bad after that. But we still have 2 more races to go, and I'm here to fight for the championship, so I want more tomorrow.
Yes, when we had the interview after the qualifying, you show me your hand because you need to manage this kind of injury, so it's not easy. Of course, it's part of the sport, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's nothing. I think more sportsmen have been through more than me, so yeah, just a small roadblock, I guess. Yes. But yeah, like I said,
only one line for the Tiger.
Yeah,
only one.
Exactly.
So tell me about the challenge to be here in Portimao circuit. So it's really particular, uniquely circuit, so with many ups and downs. Tell me how much you manage and you prepare this circuit here with your team.
I came here, I think, 1 week before for the sim, and last year as well we were doing a lot of sim to prepare for this race. And yeah, I mean, to manage the race it's a normal race, you know. We managed the tires, and I had a good start, so it was not too bad. And I think they were both fighting behind me, but I think the hardest thing to manage today was the safety car restores because it's such a long straight and such a long run into T1. So I think that was probably the biggest problem. Yeah.
Congratulations, driver for Campos Racing. So Christian Ho, congratulations, many thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Jake.
Gracias, mi amigo. Fantastic stuff from our race winner. And now Bruno Del Pino is with Enzo.
Yes, Bruno Del Pino, the Spaniard driver. So tell me, Bruno, how was the experience to drive here? It's your first time in Portimao, so you have experience before. So tell me, because it's really, we had the conversation with the winners so about the ups and downs, you know, unevenness, it's not the flat or the classic circuit. It's really particular. So tell me how much time you was preparing the race.
I mean, it's a difficult track, a lot of high-speed corners, so obviously difficult to adapt. But I mean, we had a lot of time to prepare. The collective test, free practice 1, free practice 2. And I think in terms of pace, we are there. Qualifying was P2, just a little bit missing out in sector 2. But then in the race, I made not the best start for me. I dropped to P3, but then managed to get back into second, but just lacking a bit of speed overall. But I managed to finish P2. So just looking forward tomorrow to improve the 2 or 3 things that we need to improve, and hopefully to improve the pace.
So Bruno Del Pino from MP Motorsport, congratulations. And we are with you, Jake, completely alive in our streaming. So this is the round of EUROCUP-3. Finally, it didn't rain, so thanks for the weather, because at the beginning of the day we was thinking that maybe they need to change the kind of tires, no, from the tires dry to the wet tires. So finally, no, we really enjoyed the race today here, this round in EUROCUP-3.
Yeah, 25% chance of rain clearly wasn't enough for the Portuguese fraternity. Great to see Christian Ho picking up his first race victory after the miserable start to his campaign. He seems very happy with it. And we've got 2 races to come tomorrow, of course, Enzo, based on the cancelled race from SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS. It's going to be a very busy weekend for the EUROCUP-3 teams and drivers.
Yes. Yes, it's true, because you remember the first round was really complicated for us due to the weather conditions. So in this round for EUROCUP-3, we will have this round from Belgium, from Spa-Francorchamps. So a lot of job, but a lot of passion. No excuses, eh? No excuses.
No, indeed. And at 6:30 tonight, the fans can actually stick around, because we're going to go live on the EUROCUP-3 Instagram channel. Tell us a little bit about what the fans can expect.
I have an invitation for you, Jake, and for all fans from EUROCUP-3. So we will be on the paddock speaking with the drivers, you know, about their opinions, about how they feel or they felt this unique, because it's really particular. It's like a roller coaster, no? We say also in Spanish like montaña rusa, but it's roller coaster, no? With many different kind of ups and downs. So it's very particular. So I want to know, and I want to explain with the drivers, and I want to know, of course, more opinions and this analyze about the Portimao circuit.
Fantastic. Well, we're really excited for that, and we're all going to be tuning in. Mucho gracias, Enzo. Thank you so much for all your hard work today. You're going to have a very busy day tomorrow. You haven't got 2 races. You've got 4 races tomorrow. The podium ceremony is just ticking on and getting underway. So it's time for us to bid farewell to the drivers here for EUROCUP-3 here at the first day of action, I should say, at the Circuito Autodromo Algarve. A massive thank you to Enzo Oliveira. We've just about got time for the highlights, and we think hopefully the podium ceremony for the first race in EUROCUP-3. But although it was a bit of a stop-start race battle, it was definitely a very deserving one for Christian Ho. We are told that because of the complexity of getting the PCSI cars out on the circuit, we won't be able to bring you the podium. But do stick around, because on the Instagram live at 6:30 p.m. local time, which is in just under half an hour, you'll get all the latest reaction, opinion, thoughts, stories, and all the insight to life behind the scenes in EUROCUP-3. If you're enjoying the season so far, that's what you need to do. Head to Instagram Live at 6:30 GMT+1 after the race with Enzo Oliveira and the drivers and teams. It's a landmark moment for the Singaporean Christian Ho, who finally shakes off the gremlins for the first couple of rounds of the championship and becomes a race winner. See you tomorrow for more from Portimao.